I remember the most productive one. Um,
Well, I remember. Yeah,
was,
before you say that, let me jump in because I remember one morning you texted me at like 8 and said I've gotten more done already than I have like all week or something like that.
well, so that was
Back with We're All In, episode 2 of the first season. Tom Busolo, of course, here with Jacob Voswinkle. Jacob, what's going on?
dude coming off that Christmas, slump where you're not doing anything and just trying to get back into gear here. What about you?
Absolutely, absolutely. We're recording this on December 26th, the day after Christmas. Happy holidays to everybody. Happy to finally back on the airwaves.
Yeah, it's been a minute, right?
It certainly has. It certainly has. So,
Well, yeah. If you go back and you listen to the beginning of the last one, that was the day after Thanksgiving. I'm pretty sure was that Black Friday that we
yeah, I
recorded.
think it was. Yeah, I think
So
so.
maybe we'll have to wait another week and record day after New Year's, and then
The
not
day
even
after New Year's.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I remember also when we recorded that first one, it was the Longhorns had just clinched the Big 12 championship,
Wow,
right?
that's
Because
right.
I remember I think we announced that. So now going into the Sugar Bowl against
Sugar,
Big Georgia.
Sugar Bowl weekend, basically. It's catch me in New Orleans. I'm sure this might not be out until then, but
You're lucky enough to be going, right?
won a free ticket. Shout out Taco Bell. Big news on that front. But yeah, $50 back in my pocket and lower level of the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Really looking forward to it. Should be a good time. New Year's in New Orleans. We'll see.
Definitely, definitely. Well, so after we finished up veganism and did that first episode, we went on and for the next 2 weeks, from November 27th to December 11th, so 2 weeks, we decided we wanted to wake up early, and we woke up at 6 a.m. every day, right?
That's yeah.
And
We
7
had
a.m. on the weekends, 7 a.m. on
7
Saturdays.
a.m. Yeah, Tom didn't want to punish himself as bad as he did on veganism, so he decided to do something that he enjoys and wake up early. And yeah, we just went for it, and we're trying to see how that correlated with our productivity and everything else. Right? Where did that idea come from?
I mean, it was just a matter of wanting to, well, first of all, get up at a consistent time every day, right? Not,
Right. Yeah.
without the fluctuation, but also, I mean, the earlier you get up, the more time you have to do things, right?
Yeah. I mean, for me, here's the one big catch though is that we're both in college. You take night classes.
Yeah.
We're not on a super consistent schedule. Classes are semi-consistent. I was only in classes 2 days a week. You were in 4 days a week.
I was in three days a week most weeks.
Time you don't have a job. You only have to wake up wait. You didn't have to wake up. You have night class.
Yeah, most of I think I had one class this semester that started at like, what was it, 9 a.m. on Wednesdays. So that was it though.
Oh, so tough.
And then the rest, I had to find a way to get out of bed by 5 p.m.
Yeah, well, are in your class the working professionals still working or?
Yeah, exactly. So most of there are a lot of students, I guess, in my programs who have full-time jobs. So that's why
Like
a lot of the classes are at night to accommodate them.
And are they do they resent you at all?
No, they don't. It's honestly it's fun to collaborate and be on teams with them. Different perspectives on everything. But
Well, yeah, I'm sure at the end of the day they're happy to go back to the work can suck, right? But school, if you're learning new concepts and ideas.
right, and it's definitely not easy for them, obviously, because they're working 8, 9, 10 hours a day, and then going to class for another 3, and then they got to do their assignments or studying or whatever on top of that. So it's definitely not easy for them.
Well, if they have kids, that's insane.
Yeah, and a lot of them do. A lot of them are married and have families, and so. But one thing I also wanted to add to just this whole waking up challenge is 6 a.m. for most people isn't early.
No, right.
I shouldn't say for most, but for a lot of people, 6 a.m. is normal. So I don't want make it clear that we're not saying 6 a.m. is we woke up at some outrageously early time. It's just that in relation to our schedules,
Which would
it's
be,
early.
like 3 hours earlier than we would be.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
right. So I was usually waking up at 9 to be at work at 10.
Mm-hmm.
Or I mean, I didn't have class until 9:30, so wake up at 8:30 basically. So we were waking up, probably 2.5 hours earlier than we would have most mornings, right?
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of people are waking up at 6 or earlier than 6 and just for work. So
right.
it's
Yeah.
it was more the fact that we wanted to do this to see how it would affect our lifestyle, not do it just to get up early and say it was early because,
Right. Well, you see all the videos and news articles out there. I think if it's disclosed, Newsweek, Business Insider might put out, "Oh, hey, wake up earlier and be more productive." It's the secret of all these successful people, right?
X so and so claims the secret to his success is waking up at 3 a.m. every day or something like that.
Yeah, totally. And similar to their lack of creative concept ideas, we went that same route and could not come up with a better concept of our own. And here we are.
But you know what? I really enjoyed it.
Really?
I think I've always been a morning person, I'd say.
What?
I do enjoy getting up early. I mean, I obviously haven't always, but I do enjoy it. Over the past few summers, when I've been working, commuting, I live in Jersey, folks, and commute into New York City for the summers. And this summer, I was waking up at 4:50 every morning because I had to get a 5:50 train in, be at work by 8. And it was commuting from Jersey to Brooklyn, so I didn't even have the choice. And I mean, it was early, sure, but I really enjoyed it because it just feels like now looking back, having waken up early and then also waking up, done the whole 9, 10 a.m. student type thing where you sleep in, it's like you feel like it's lost time if you sleep in. At least I do, and it's almost like a sense of guilt.
No, yeah, I mean, I would say so, but so this summer in my internship in Kansas City, I was waking up at 6 and be at work around 7:30, 7:45. But it gives you that time in the morning to get ready and kind of plan out everything. I've heard a lot of people say that if you don't have time in the morning to plan out your day, like if you don't start the day with a purpose, then the day is going to control you. I forget that exact quote, but in the morning you can kind of plan out your day, think about everything that you need to get done. If you're really busy in the morning, then doing that the night before usually helps if you're super busy as well. Again, we weren't necessarily in that time crunch type of situation, but I would agree. Waking up early, just you definitely feel more productive.
Yeah,
Right.
and I don't know. I also don't know why this is, but I was getting the feeling that even I was getting more done in those early hours than I would have midday or afternoon or maybe even at night. At least that's what I got the feeling of.
Yeah, and I think for us it might have been that it was time that we had taken back, so we felt like it's more beneficial to use that time. Where throughout the day, if you're used to not doing anything on your lunch break, you probably won't do anything on your lunch break just because you feel like, hey, it's time to relax. Or after work, same type of thing. But if you add time into if you regain time with your day, say you usually work out after work and you get off work early, then it's like, hey, there's more time added into this space that I can use. So that's maybe one theory for it. Right.
Right. Yeah, and well, what were you I know I was part of this overlap with my finals. Was it finals for you? What were you doing during those hours? Were you studying? Was it,
Yeah, so it was finals. Let's see, what do we say? It ended the 11th. So
it was November into the first week of December.
right. So that was my last. I didn't have finals. Finals. I had like last week test.
Right.
They overlap like final projects and final papers and tests. So those would have overlapped with, and it also kind of reassured me that I had time in the morning. So this is the classic college like death trap is you have an 8 a.m. You're like, oh, I'll just wake up at 6 a.m. and finish my homework.
Yep. Everybody's done it.
Right. I actually was able to be like, oh, okay, I can actually go to sleep early tonight. And I know you're a big all nighter guy. I
Uh-huh.
don't do them though,
Yeah,
right?
I
But
am. Yeah, I am. So I had to, in keeping in mind that I knew I had to get up at 6 the next morning, I was trying to go to bed earlier. 'Cause
right.
normally I go to bed late, whether or not I have stuff to do. Really, I'm usually up until and get to bed at like 1 or 2.
Mhm.
So this I was in bed by 12 because I mean from this summer and past experience, I know that I can function pretty well on 6 hours. I'm happy with
Yeah.
that. I'm not somebody who's going around saying they didn't get their 8 hours or they didn't get their 9. It's like give me a break, people. First of all, you know, is it nice to get 8 hours? Of course. But I think I can't stand when people say, "Oh, I didn't get my 8 hours last night." Like, give me a break. Cut the
You
excuses.
so also you're like I mean you're a coffee drinker, right? So
Oh yeah,
I mean you can go like 4 or 5 hours and just drink coffee and be
yeah,
fine. I don't drink coffee, but I remember like my freshman year of college whenever I was getting no sleep, I would just drink coffee and that was what I
yeah.
would use. But I mean I don't anymore. I almost never have caffeine, but that's
So what were some of the things you would do in those 3-4 hours?
I remember the most productive one. Um,
Well, I remember. Yeah,
was,
before you say that, let me jump in because I remember one morning you texted me at like 8 and said I've gotten more done already than I have like all week or something like that.
well, so that was like a Wednesday or a Thursday. It was that last week of school, and it was like the last day I had two tests, and one I had no issues with. I was like, this is gonna be fine. But I woke up early. I think I threw something on our Instagram page at We're All In Pod if you don't follow us already, and uh, I was like, man, I just threw this up, and you're like, wait, did you just take that? I was like, yeah, I just took that, and then yeah, I went back and I was working through a problem set for one of my economics classes and got it done. And then I had like 30 minutes left to eat before I had to leave for class. Like, wow, this is pretty cool. Whenever you
Yeah,
have 3 hours in the morning to get stuff done,
yeah, yeah.
I mean, three time.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And I did a lot of the same type of stuff. This overlapped with the beginning first week of my final. So well, actually, I mean, one of the biggest things that I enjoyed was I usually take showers at night just because I don't want to get up extra early to take it in the morning.
Sure.
Um, Taking a shower in the morning was great, because
Oh,
I
yeah.
had all that extra time. Because once you hop in the shower, that really wakes you up. So I was showering in the mornings instead of the night, and then I would put on the kettle on the stove, get some tea going. Probably woke the neighbors up with a nice loud whistle, but that's all right. And one of the first, what I would do every day is I would plan out my day and sort of the rest of the week and sort of this journal that I keep of, assignments that are due. Do I have any appointments? And that was helpful just to see what I had coming up and sort of mentally prepare, I guess, you know. Most days I would try and do a little reading, whether it was an article or skim through the Wall Street Journal or a book that I'm getting through. And then I would move on to any sort of school assignments.
Yeah. Well, that's for everybody that is listening to this. We got cut off the first time we were recording, and I was talking about a book called The Millionaire Miracle Morning. Uh, and so we didn't catch that at the beginning. But uh, this book, The Miracle Millionaire Morning, talks about you wake up, you plan out your day, and then you take time for reflection and getting a jump start while nobody's really at your throat in the morning and can bother you. Um,
Right.
he talks about, yeah, just waking up and getting stuff done before the rest of your team or um, before the people that are taking the most out of your time are going to be interfering. So I think, yeah, just taking it slow and actually being deliberate in what you do is really key. uh, yeah, you sounds like you had much more of a routine. Whenever I wake up almost every morning, I like to play music, and I don't know, I think it's just a system now, but I'm sure your neighbors wouldn't appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, no, that music is something that can definitely get you going in the morning. Yeah, I mean, I listened to a lot of, I was listening to a lot of like lectures and other podcasts and stuff too. You know, I hate, I'm not, I shouldn't say I hate, I'm not a fan of the term me time, but I felt like that was, you know, I felt like these mornings were sort of like time to, you know, just get your own head straight, do things sort of like a mental health type of check, keeping you, you know, keeping you straight, do your reading, do whatever you need to kind of, you know, relax, get ready for the day, because it felt like, you know, that at that hour, it's almost like, you know, you're not missing out on anything, right?
Right. Yeah, totally, exactly. Where if it's late at night and you're checking your Snapchat or something to see who's doing what, or you know, just other things going on. Yeah, exactly. You're not missing out on anything. I know one thing for sure is coming home from work this summer. Like I wouldn't get home until I don't know 7:30, and then it was cook dinner, go to bed, basically. But like having that time in the morning, definitely, you know, before anybody woke up, it was time that I could just relax. And yeah, I've said this about 5 times now, but
Well, yeah.
that's
And, you
me
know,
time, right? Like, because you're
uh-huh.
interacting with people all day, and yeah, it gets old, and yeah, you do need time just to unwind, especially if you're an introvert by nature and you don't
Oh
necessarily,
man. Yeah,
right?
you can't just you can't go straight from being in bed to being in the office or whatever and communicating with 50,000 different people in a matter of an hour.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and from
on the
personal
phone.
experience,
I mean,
I've gotten criticized. No, I mean I shouldn't say criticized, but I've gotten a ton of comments from people over the past few years about, you know, the hospitals I've worked at over the summer were an hour and a half, 2 hour commutes each way. So people are saying that's great, and yeah, that's a long way, and I could have found something closer, but you know, I went because those are great hospitals, but also because those commute times were all on the trains, and that gave me a time in the morning to, because I wasn't driving, I wasn't, you know, I could really just sit there and do some reading, focus on the day, think about what I'd be going through, kind of break down. And then part of it also was the train rides home after the day also was just a time to kind of break down what had happened that day. You know, because this summer especially, I was in the ICU seeing a lot of serious stuff, and it
sure,
was just a time to understand it, think about it before getting home with the family and communicating again.
right. I think this also ties a little bit into. I just finished a book by Truett Cathy, if you know who that is, the founder of Chick-fil-A, and
Mhm.
he talks about if parents want to connect with their kids about working or anything else, if they drove and picked them up from work whenever they were 16, they'd be able to talk about the day. And same thing, kind of picking somebody up from school. You talk about the day and talk about what happened and your goals and everything before you kind of get into the mindset of relaxing at home. And yeah, no, I think that's kind of key, right? Is having those separated out things and compartmentalizing different aspects potentially. But
Right. Right. Definitely. Because I even think that you could, I mean, you're living your day, but at the end, if you really don't break it down and understand what happened, it's almost, I don't want to say a waste, but it's not as meaningful as it really could be. Right.
right, I remember so maybe a testament to waking up early. I remember one day this summer, and this is we'll see, but I woke up and my roommate worked at the same company that I did, and he's like, "Oh, you work in the office with XYZ person?" I'm like, "I do," and he's like, "That guy's a big dog, you know. He's the person to rub shoulders with." I don't even know if I really had a conversation with him. So I wake up early next morning. I was like, "All right, I'm gonna walk up and introduce myself to this guy." I know he gets there before everybody in the morning, so I got there early. Walked up. I said, "Hey, I'm Jacob Ostnickle," and he's like, my name's John Smith. He's like, we met the first day, but it was a really busy time. And I was like, wait, I had already introduced myself to this guy. Like I had already met him and I had no idea. But being deliberate and actually like knowing, hey, I need to start my day with this, you know,
Right.
was too. So a little tangent, but okay, so overall the experience positive.
Definitely positive. Definitely positive. And the part that we haven't touched on yet, I think that maybe even was like the most positive part of it was the fact that I was actually getting up at the same time every day.
Right.
Rather
Yeah.
than getting up at 10 Monday, then getting up at 7 the next day, and then sleeping until noon. Then like getting up at the same time every day, I think I really felt the benefits of that physically and mentally, but definitely even physically.
Well, people say, if you want more energy throughout the day, you just go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time every day.
Right.
And
Right.
like
Yeah.
put your body into a routine, and you know how much rest you're getting, and it's not thrown out of whack. I mean, that's key. And I know, even I'm sure you can attest to this too. On the weekends of whenever you're interning or working, your body naturally wakes up. You're getting enough rest, right?
Yeah.
And it's healthy to stay in that routine. I mean, we're creatures of habit, right? And
Totally. Yeah, and
that's
even
what,
because I even could see it because when we gave ourselves an extra hour to sleep on Saturday and Sunday, but even on Saturday and Sunday, like there was a few of those weekends where I was waking up naturally at like 6:55 before my alarm went off, right? And
right.
which was good because I wasn't waking up tired then. Like if I had woken up naturally and I was exhausted, that would suck. But I was
Yeah.
waking up and I felt like I actually was ready to get out of bed and start some of those days,
Do you ever do this? This summer I did this a lot, and I did it some while we were doing this as well. But you wake up before your alarm, like you have that internal clock. You wake up before your alarm goes off, and it's almost like anxiety. And then you like
Yes,
look.
yes. I was just gonna say that actually because I knew you were gonna get. It's like you have your alarm set for 8 and you wake up at like 7:45 and you want to get more sleep, but it's not really worth it.
Well, I always think like this is so ludicrous, but I'm always like, oh my god, I overslept my alarm. And I look at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I wish that I was more relaxed and trusted
Yeah,
technology
yeah,
more.
like those times where you wake up and you think you overslept or something, so you shudder awake and you rip the covers off in like in an unhumanly like speed you're out of bed because you think you've overslept.
And then yeah, well, I think too is I always don't really have that much trouble going back to sleep. You're still in that kind of sleep mode, but yeah, it's just an interesting. It's crazy like how good our body clocks are. It's,
Yeah, oh yeah.
that's
Well,
you know
and one thing I'm sure that he talked about this too is Jordan Peterson is always saying, one of the best things you can do for your own mental health is to make a schedule for yourself for the week and then get up at the same time every day. Because if you don't get up at the same time every day, it throws off your biological rhythm, which is
right.
like what you're getting at. Like your body has a clock, and it needs to. If you're waking up at different times, going to bed at different times, you're screwing with that clock.
So I mean something that this kind of ties into too is into as well, I should say, is whenever there's a change or whenever you move, I find that it's way easier. And I don't know about you, whether it's going to school or coming back from a break, and then you want to start something new. I always find it way easier to begin like that habit in that time of change, right?
Right.
So, like moving to Kansas City was like, okay, I'm going to wake up at 6 every day, and I'm going to go work out after the gym. So then that habit becomes ingrained, and it's just easier to do that one thing.
Yeah.
And that goes
Yeah.
along with the schedule that you have and the rhythm that your body gets into and feeling better throughout the day too. So
Yeah, and then one thing Peterson's also saying that I agree with and sort of like felt during doing this was like people make their schedule and they're like, all right, I don't really want to do the schedule because my schedule sucks, and it's like I have to do all these things that I don't want to do. So what
right.
he says is like, well, set it up so that it's a way that you like it. You're gonna have to do some things you don't want to do. That's just life. But then put in some time to do whatever you want for 15 minutes and whatever. So it's spaced
Right.
out and you're actually able to do it.
Yeah, for me it was like I know I'm not going to wake up at 5:30 and go to the gym every morning and then bring my work clothes to the gym and get them wrinkled. It's way easier to go to the gym after work for me,
Right.
and
Right.
it's exactly right. You just set it up to how you want, and there are certain things in life that you can do that with, and taking control over those is definitely an important part, at least for I can probably speak for both of us.
Yeah. And it's also just the sort of like hustle mentality that Gary Vee is always talking about too. Like if you have a job that you're not happy with, or you're doing something that you're not happy with, and you want to start something new, the way you do that is to work on your side project those extra hours after you get home from work, or wake up a few hours earlier and do it before then. It's literally
Right, because
just
that's
more time of the day, right?
right.
You're literally making your day longer so you can do more.
Right. No, exactly. Well, and if that's the thing that gets you out of bed, then you start the day with that, right?
Right.
You start the
Yeah.
day with,
Good
hey,
point.
this is what I want to do, instead
Uh-huh.
of, oh my God, I have to go to my job that sucks, right? So that's, yeah, that's definitely key to me. That's, man, good thing to keep in mind. I need to write that down. I didn't
Now,
even thought.
let me ask you this. Alarm was going off at 6. When were you getting out of bed?
6:30.
Yeah,
But like most days.
that was the same for me too. Just on the phone for half
Yeah,
an hour.
I mean, and people talk about you shouldn't have electronics in your bedroom and stuff, and how that can affect your rest. But dude, yeah, you catch up on everything, and then
Right.
you
Right.
get up in an hour.
See, I don't know. Is that is that a waste of time? Is that bad to stay in bed for that half hour and check up on everything? I like I'm at a like on the one hand I'm like, yeah, it is because you're on your phone, you're in bed, you could be doing something more useful. But the other time I'm like, I don't know, I enjoy seeing the news and what's happening, and you know what I mean?
I don't, just from a self, I don't know, not fulfillment, but from what I like to do, I enjoy staying in bed longer as opposed to being out of bed and doing the same thing, right? So if that is just extra time that's built into the day, and I can do that and wake up slower, I think everybody would take that, right? Not even from a
Right.
scientific, this is better for you perspective, but uh, that being said, if you want to be productive and squeeze every drop out of your day, no, it's probably not the best thing to do.
Yeah, I agree.
I would look at it.
I agree. So overall, overall conclusions, did you enjoy it? Would you do it again? What's the deal? Do you recommend it?
It's positive. If you want to be more productive, I would recommend it. And honestly, I would recommend everybody reevaluate their sleep schedules,
Mm,
just because, I mean, college students especially, they wake up at ridiculous, like, if you go to bed at 4 a.m. every night, that's just ignorant. Like, or
yeah,
ignorant might be the wrong word, but that's not a good idea.
right, right.
You can get more
Especially if it's
done.
like, yeah, if you're staying up till 4 a.m. playing Fortnite or something every night,
Oh
it's a
my
waste.
goodness.
I mean, like at least if you're going out and you have an event or something, you just get home late every now and then. Okay, that's fine, obviously, but you got to keep your schedule in order,
I mean,
right?
yeah. What's probably, you want to give a worst case scenario of when your schedule is in order in undergrad? I'm trying to think of. I mean, rowing for me was the worst, but
Yeah, that was an extreme. That was really just extreme. Um, in a way, demented. But and by the way, folks, I'm not. Jacob and I have. Well, we weren't really Fortnite guys. I don't know if you have turned into one. We were more of a. We were a. This was a PUBG apartment, so we're
oh my
not.
god, no, that's a totally different. Well, yeah, our roommate really took it to another level. I think, right? That was
Yeah,
I,
but
the nights
yeah.
that we would go to sleep at, like, on the weekends whenever we had practice, and we'd go to sleep at 2:30 or 3, and then wake up at 5.
Oh, oh.
Holy cow!
My head is hurting and ringing just from thinking of that.
Yeah. Well,
That was tough.
that's, yeah, that's a story for another time. But
So, are there any successful people that wake up late?
yeah, so that was something that I wanted to touch on. Pretty much the worst people on earth. So BuzzFeed CEO Jonah Peretti sleeps in until 8:30. It says. Um, New Yorker writer does her work in the middle of the night. That's pretty questionable. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio is not a morning person.
Blas wakes up late. Yeah, that's why. That's no wonder they can't clean the garbage off the streets.
Oh my goodness. Trevor Noah wakes up at 6 p.m. I guess he late night stuff, but
Well,
Winston was one good person on this list that would sleep in and do his work. Do his first work in bed and then make calls from his bed in the morning. And hey, I'll take that. You
yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I don't think.
Working on your phone, right?
Well, I mean, actually, at the same time, I don't know if there's a sort of like negative subconscious consequence of that, of like associating your bed with your office.
Oh no, I would definitely agree. I don't ever have my laptop in bed, but yeah, I'll be on my phone.
Yeah. The
And
worst is the people. The worst is the people who eat in their bed.
Don't even get me started. That's about to go down.
That's just like a bad idea and a mess waiting to happen.
If you eat in your bed, please tell me so that I can reevaluate our association with each
other. Yeah.
Well, yeah, crumbs. Like clean sheets are right up there with like one of the most important things in my
life. Clean sheets.
Dude.
You're telling me you don't want to lay in like a chip crumb sheet?
As much as I value eating in bed, there's other places you can eat literally anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, overall, I think I enjoyed it. Since then, most days I've set my alarm to like 8 or 9, even though I haven't had to get up that early, just because I've, didn't want to waste those few hours. So, definitely enjoyed it. Would recommend it for people who, like you said, especially the people who are looking to do more, are feeling unfulfilled, want to start that extra project or whatever. Definitely waking up a few extra hours early if you're not already waking up that early. I would recommend it. And just for if people want to just try something new too, wake up early, plan your day, do some reading. Yeah.
No, good recommendations. Of course, will always be pro wake up early from a productivity standpoint. It doesn't make sense to do anything else, especially not the opposite, which is stay up late and do work. No, you should be waking up early. It's healthy for you, even if it kind of sucks sometimes.
Yeah. And you know what they say, the tougher the battle, the sweeter the victory. It may not feel like it's worth it in the moment when when you're getting that iPhone stock alarm going off, but a few hours later or a few months later, when you finish the project you're working on or whatever, it'll feel like it's worth it.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what? In a few months after you've taken your multi-level marketing company to that next level, you can sleep in all you want on a beach in Tahiti.
So true. But yeah, so that was waking up early. This is episode 2. What are you thinking about episode 3, Jacob?
Now, we had tossed around the idea of having some special episodes in and not torturing ourselves for everyone, but I think that's in the deck, right? For next.
I think so.
All right, so we'll have a special coming out. Do we want to release what that is right now?
Yeah, I think we should. Why don't you go ahead?
So, as many of you know, Tom and I were washed up athletes that didn't pursue our collegiate dreams hard enough, so we ended up on a club team in college. And episode 3 will be about our club rowing experiences. So, if you want to hear about the debauchery and ignorance that was our club rowing experience, tune in to 3 of We're All In.
And it'll follow up nicely because that was a lot of early mornings.
It was way earlier and way more punishment than this 2 weeks was. So
that definitely was
the best episode we've recorded so far, episode 3.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, we went all in on waking up early these past 2 weeks. We'll go all in on talking about rowing in the next episode.
God forbid I ever have to go all in on rowing again.
But that's all we got for you guys this time. Thanks for tuning in. If you like us, give us a rating on iTunes. Maybe write a little review. subscribe, download, all that good stuff, and follow us. Follow us on Instagram. We're posting a lot and trying to get more into that space too at We're All In Pod on Instagram and Twitter. So,
yes,
alrighty.
Have a great week, everybody.
Bye.